They were on the brink, not in the dramatic shouting, storming out of the room kind of way, but in the slow, subtle unraveling that so many marriages endure quietly. Candace Cameron Bure and her husband, Valerie Bure, had been through seasons of joy, strain, silence, and misunderstandings. And like many couples married for decades, there came a time when the thread started to loosen, almost without notice. Candace had always spoken openly about her Christian faith. It's a cornerstone of her identity, something she's held tightly to the whirlwind of Hollywood, motherhood, and personal battles. But even faith, when tested in the crucible of a strained relationship, can feel distant. She and Valerie weren't in a crisis that would make tabloid headlines. No cheating, no dramatic fights. But the connection between them had weakened. Conversations turned into routines. Shared smiles became rare. The things that once made them laugh now passed unnoticed. And the weight of daily life, parenting, careers, responsibilities, began to overshadow the intimacy they once nurtured. Then came Leviticus, their son, not a counselor, not a pastor, not even someone you'd expect to offer profound marital insight, just a young man in his early 20s, deeply rooted in his own spiritual journey. And yet, what he did next was something neither of them saw coming. Candace recalls it with awe. One afternoon, in the middle of one of their low seasons, Lev sat down with them. No lecture, no judgment, just him, his Bible, and a heart full of conviction. For 45 minutes, he poured out words from Scripture, encouragement, and wisdom, not from a place of authority, but from love. He just had his Bible open, Candace said, reflecting on that moment. He wasn't speaking at us. He was sharing, gently, sincerely, with so much maturity. He reminded us who we were, not just each other, but to God. The impact was immediate, yet gentle. There were no tears, no dramatic scenes. Just a quiet, humbling pause. Lev's words pierced through walls they didn't realize they had built. He spoke of love, patience, humility, and forgiveness. He quoted verses about grace and the importance of choosing love every single day, even when feelings falter. It wasn't magic. Their problems didn't vanish overnight. But that 45-minute sermon was a turning point. It served as a mirror, reflecting back what had been lost. Intentionality, kindness, faith. And more than anything, it reminded them that love is a decision, not just an emotion. Candace has always leaned on her faith, but hearing it through her son's voice stirred something deeper. It reminded her of the power of family, not just in being loved, but in being held accountable, challenged, and inspired. She and Valerie began doing the work. They talked more. They prayed together. They listened to each other, to God, and to the lessons their children were teaching them. They went back to basics. Date nights, honest conversations, shared devotions. Slowly, they relearned each other, not the version shaped by years of routine, but the true, vulnerable people underneath. Candace admits that long-term marriage isn't always romantic. There are hard days. There are seasons when you don't feel close, she explained. But you don't give up. You lean in. That's what Lev reminded them that day. Not to quit, not to settle into disconnection, but to fight for what matters. And it wasn't just about staying together. It was about thriving again, laughing again, looking at each other and remembering the reasons they said, "I do" in the first place. Rediscovering love, not the infatuated spark in their younger days, but the deep, weathered, enduring kind. The kind that has seen the storms and decided to stand firm anyway. It's not often that a parent credits their child with saving their marriage, but Candace does without hesitation. Not because Lev had all the answers, but because he cared enough to step in with humility and grace and offer a reminder of the truth that grounds their family. In a world quick to quit when things get hard, their story is a quiet testimony of what it means to stay, to listen, to change, and sometimes to be led not by experts or elders, but by the very children we raise. Lev's 45-minute sermon wasn't just words. It was a lifeline, a sacred, spontaneous intervention that helped them course correct, reconnect, and rediscover the purpose in their partnership. Candace has since shared the story with gratitude, not as a means of boasting, but as a reminder that no marriage is beyond repair when faith, humility, and love remain at the center. Sometimes help comes from the most unexpected places, and sometimes the soft voice of son, Bible in hand, heart wide open, is enough to bring healing where it's needed most.